Oh, shit.
Outside the back. Base.to.
What the fuck?
What would you do if you found yourself surrounded by eerie whispers, strange lights, and an unsettling feeling that something or someone was watching you? Welcome to today's chilling adventure, where each step brings you closer to the unknown. From strange sounds to ghostly figures, these stories are far from ordinary. In this video, we'll explore the terrifying journeys of those who bravely or foolishly went into places they should have avoided. But be warned, some things are best left untouched. But before moving into these heart-pounding tales, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. Now, let's get started with case number 6. The man behind the popular YouTube channel Franco TV was known for his daring adventures. This time, Frank picked a place covered in deep darkness and scary stories. People said animals were sacrificed here to stop evil. As he got closer, a horrible, rotten smell filled the air. He saw dead animals along the road, adding to the creepy feeling. The sun was going down, and strange flashes of light flickered in the distance, like ghostly cameras taking pictures. When night came, he stepped into the dark forest. It felt like the darkness swallowed him, and only his flashlight lit the way. The silence was heavy, broken only by the sound of leaves crunching under his feet. He felt like someone was watching him, but he couldn't see anyone. Then he heard a faint sound, a whisper, or maybe an animal moving. Frank stopped, his heart racing. Was that real, or just my imagination? He said softly to the camera. Exploring deeper, he noticed a sudden flash of light ahead. It vanished as quickly as it appeared. He stood frozen, gripping his camera tightly. "What was that?" he whispered. A cold wind passed by, smelling like wet dirt and something scary. He took a careful step forward, feeling both scared and curious. Far away, he saw the shape of an old, broken cabin. He slowly walked closer, his flashlight shaking in his hand. Strange, creepy sounds made him very frightened. Was it an animal, or something worse? He walked around the cabin, looking through the broken windows. Taking a deep breath, he opened the door and went inside. The air felt heavy and cold. Strange marks covered the walls, making it even scarier. As he was about to go inside the room, he heard noises and felt something moving inside the cabin. But when he stepped in, there was nothing there. As he stepped out of the cabin, the silence broke with strange voices coming from the forest. His flashlight caught a quick look at something. It looked human but wasn't normal. Then it disappeared. "This can't be real," he whispered, shaking with fear. The forest felt alive, like it was mocking him. Weird things were on the ground, bones, ripped cloth, and strange things. He felt even more scared. Suddenly, he saw someone standing ahead. It stared at him for a moment, then vanished into thin air. His legs felt weak as fear took over. "Is someone watching me?" he said softly, barely able to speak. The forest came alive with creepy sounds, each one louder and closer than before. He felt as if something, or someone, was following him. He quickly turned around, but the thick trees didn't reveal anything. His brain told him to run, so he did, his breath fast and his heart racing. He finally reached the edge of the forest, where his car waited like a safe place. He was standing near his car, trying to catch his breath. He looked at the forest edge, but nothing was moving. Just when he thought he was safe, he heard faint sounds from the woods. A whisper, a rustling, maybe even a laugh. His fear told him to leave, but he decided to finish the adventure. He stayed, recording what he saw and heard, but the strange sounds didn't stop. When he ran back after seeing something in the forest, he reached near his van. Suddenly, he felt something behind him in the dark forest. He used his flashlight to scan the trees, but then he saw something unexpected. Someone was watching him. A faint light was glowing in the darkness. A few seconds later, it became two lights like eyes staring at him. It looked like a person or a creepy figure. Frank froze in fear, unable to move. His heart raced as he quickly got into his car for safety. At 2 a.m., he tried to sleep in his car, but fear kept him awake. The forest seemed alive. By 4 a.m., he felt like someone was watching him. He was scared and his chest felt tight. After hours of trying to sleep, he still couldn't. He heard strange sounds from the forest and felt unsafe. At 5 a.m., he decided to leave. He started his car and drove away from the creepy place. Sometimes curiosity can lead to danger. Listen to your elders, be careful, and know when it's time to leave. Later, after getting home, he told everyone what happened. CJ Faison is known for his awesome YouTube channel, where he records some of the most terrifying ghostly adventures. His videos have gained massive attention from fans who love the thrill of the unknown. But he isn't afraid of danger. He's always seeking new ways to entertain and push the limits, even if it means risking his own safety. His previous uploads were already filled with eerie moments, but this time he wanted to try something even more daring. This time he decided to go solo and ride his bike into the heart of a deep, dark forest. The forest was known to be full of secrets, and he had heard countless stories of strange happenings there. The adventure was meant to be simple: ride through the forest from one entrance to the other. However, he had no idea that this journey would become one of his scariest yet. As he went deeper into the woods, he felt a sense of unease creeping in. The trees seemed to close in around him, and the silence was very deep. It felt as though something was watching him from the shadows, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. When he reached a particularly dark spot in the forest, he decided to stop and explore on foot. He stopped his bike and looked around, feeling the strange silence in the air. Something about the woods made him feel uneasy, like they were hiding a secret. As he walked further into the forest, a strange feeling of confusion came over him. It felt like someone, or maybe something, was nearby, quietly following him. His heart began to beat faster, and his breathing got quicker. The feeling of being watched wouldn't go away. Every time he turned around to look, there was nothing there, but he couldn't shake the thought that he wasn't alone. Suddenly, when CJ turned to where he had left his bike, it was gone. Fear rushed through him. He ran back and found it lying on the ground as if someone had pushed it over. His mind raced. Was it a thief or something worse? Then, in the distance, he saw a strange light glowing, making him more confused. Someone or something was out there, watching him. The forest wasn't as empty as he thought. His heart pounded as he realized something was following him, and it wasn't human. He jumped on his bike and pedaled as fast as he could, but the glowing light behind him kept getting closer. He felt like a shadow was chasing him, growing larger with every second. He needed to hide. In the distance, he saw a small building, a public restroom with few lights. He rushed toward it, hoping it would be a safe place. He ran, heart racing, and hid in a corner, holding his breath. For a moment, he thought he had escaped, but then the glow outside stopped, but he knew it was not over. Panic filled him as he grabbed his bike, and once again, he pedaled as fast as he could, fear driving him forward. The dark forest seemed endless, and every shadow felt like it was alive. His hands shook, but he couldn't stop now. He knew he had to get out of the forest before whatever was following him caught up. He didn't look back, too scared of what he might see. While riding, he lost control of his bike and fell to the ground. He hit the cold dirt, but quickly got up. He saw an old broken cabin nearby and ran toward it, even though it felt scary and wrong. The cabin looked creepy, but his camera was still recording. Even though he was terrified, he wanted to record what was happening. The silence in the forest felt heavy, and every sound made his heart race. He was shaking, but determined to keep going, even as fear took over. By now, he felt completely trapped. The forest seemed darker than ever, and the quiet was too much to handle. He knew he couldn't stay any longer. The strange presence around him was too strong, and he felt like something was watching his every move. With all the courage he had left, he jumped back on his bike and pedaled as fast as he could. He didn't care about recording anymore. All he wanted was to escape the forest and survive. His only focus was finding a way out before it was too late. Somehow, he made it out of the forest, but what happened in those woods stayed with him. The glowing light, the footsteps, and the feeling of being followed haunted him. Even though he was safe at home, the fear from that night never left. The mystery of what happened in the forest remains unsolved, but his bravery and his video tell the story of a thrilling adventure he'll never forget. Don't ignore the signs and never take risks alone in a dangerous place. The wild can be full of surprises. At number 4, we have a clip of adventure from the YouTube channel ADZ Ventures. The creator, known for his thrilling and often eerie videos, decided to go on a solo van camping trip deep into a dark and quiet forest. It was supposed to be a peaceful adventure, a chance to relax and explore nature. But as he drove to the campsite, little did he know, the forest was waiting for him with a mystery he couldn't escape. His van, stocked with food and supplies, was just the beginning of an adventure he would never forget. After arriving at his campsite, he set up his van and prepared a simple meal. The forest, so quiet at first, soon gave him an unsettling feeling, like something was watching him. He tried to shake it off, but the heavy silence and the strange stillness around him only made the forest feel even more alive. His curiosity got the best of him, and after eating, he decided to explore deeper into the woods, hoping to find something exciting for his YouTube viewers. As he went deeper into the forest, the atmosphere grew darker and more tense. The trees seemed to close in around him, and the path ahead felt eerie. The strange sensation of being watched grew stronger. At first, it was just a feeling, something lurking in the shadows. But as he moved forward, a sudden rustling sound caught his attention. He froze, heart racing, and looked around with his flashlight, scanning the dark trees. For a moment, there was nothing. Then his light caught something. Was it a ghost? It was hard to tell. But whatever it was, it didn't feel right. His heart pounded as he tried to make sense of what he had just seen. Was it just his imagination, or had he really seen something? So, he quickly turned around and ran back to his van. His breath came in short bursts, and the feeling of panic surged through him. His feet moved fast as he ran toward his van, his heart pounding with fear. When he reached the van, he jumped in and slammed the door shut, locking it quickly. The feeling of danger stayed with him. It felt like something was outside, waiting in the dark. For the next 15 minutes, he sat frozen in his van, listening carefully. The silence was heavy, and the air felt strange and creepy. Every tiny sound made him jump, and he couldn't stay calm. His flashlight flickered, and he started to wonder if he was imagining things. Was it a ghost, or was someone really out there? The more he thought, the stronger the feeling grew. Something had followed him back to the van. He was alone and deeply afraid, but he tried to distract himself. To pass the time and calm his nerves, he turned on the TV in his van and watched some shows. He even made himself some tea, hoping it would help him forget the scary experience. The night felt long, but he stayed in the van, too afraid to step outside. He kept himself busy with the shows and tried to stay calm. The fear was too much to handle. Shaking with panic, he decided it was time to leave. Eventually, morning came, bringing a sense of relief. Even though he felt safer in the daylight, the memory of the night before stayed with him. As he got closer to town, he felt a bit safer, but he couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. He knew he was lucky to escape, but the memory of that night stayed with him. Always trust your feelings when something seems wrong. Don't take chances if you feel unsafe. Sometimes leaving is the best choice to stay safe. Stay careful and alert in unknown places. At number 3, we have a video from the YouTube channel Mo Sargi. He loves adventure, and has a lot of courage. His videos are often spooky and full of surprises. This time, Mo and his friend went to an old haunted army base. The base was next to a river and surrounded by a deep forest. There were cliffs, rocks, and dark tunnels nearby. It was the perfect place for a scary adventure. They were excited, but also a little nervous. He was like, "Let's see what's out there." When they arrived, the area looked old and creepy. The setting sun made everything look even scarier. They saw old signs with instructions and warnings. There were cabins, caves, and tunnels scattered around. They decided to explore everything at night. As the sky turned dark, the spooky feeling got stronger. They grabbed their stuff and started walking into the deep forest and base. Night fell, and the place became very silent. Only the sounds of water from the river could be heard. They felt like they were being watched. At first, they ignored it and kept moving. Then, near a cave, they heard a strange noise. It sounded like someone or something was inside. They called out, "Who's there?" But there was no answer. The silence made it even scarier. After checking the cave, they decided to explore a small cabin nearby. When they got close, they heard movement inside. Their hearts were racing, but they opened the door. The cabin was empty, no one was there, but the sound didn't stop. He whispered to his friend, "Let's get out of here." They quickly left the cabin, feeling the fear growing. As they moved deeper into the forest, things got worse. The air felt heavy and strange sounds came from the trees. Even his flashlight flickered on and off by itself. The river waves sounded louder, almost like whispers. They felt like the forest was alive and didn't want them there. They were like, "This place is not normal. We have to be careful." Suddenly, they saw something near another cave. It looked like a shadow moving inside. They asked again, "Who's there?" but got no reply. The shadow disappeared into the darkness. His friend was like, "We should leave." But he wanted to see more, so they kept going. Every step felt heavier, like something was stopping them. As they walked near the cliffs, they almost slipped. The rocks were loose and the edge was very dangerous. They realized how close they were to falling. "We need to be careful," he said, holding his friend's arm. The sounds of the forest grew louder, like whispers all around them. It felt like the forest wanted to trap them. They finally decided to leave and go back home. As they walked, the flashlight started flickering again. Suddenly, they both stopped. They were trying to figure out what was happening. They quit the adventure and ran back home, too scared to stay. Later, they uploaded the incomplete video and explained why they left. Safety mattered more than finishing the dangerous adventure. Always respect unknown places and the dangers they might hold. Brendan Explores, a famous YouTuber, shared a scary camping story with his audience. He loves solo van camping and often picks quiet places to park. This time, he chose a spot in a lonely parking area. After a quick snack, he explored nearby streets and neighborhoods. The area seemed strange, but he thought it was safe. Feeling uneasy, he decided to move to a new location. He parked his van near a beach with some houses nearby. It was quiet, but still felt isolated. He decided to stay, hoping nothing bad would happen. As night fell, Brendan prepared a simple dinner in his van. He ate slowly, enjoying the peaceful sound of waves. But deep down, he felt nervous about being alone. He had done many adventures before, but never felt this way. After eating, he sat inside the van and tried to relax. The wind outside made eerie sounds, but he ignored them. He recorded a short video, sharing his thoughts with his viewers. He decided to sleep early, hoping to shake off the uneasiness. Around midnight, he woke up suddenly. He heard strange voices outside his van. His heart started pounding as he listened carefully. It sounded like multiple men talking, their voices low but clear. Brendan froze, unsure of what to do. The voices got closer, and the van shook slightly as if someone was trying to open the door. He held his breath, praying they would go away. His mind raced with fear, but he stayed completely silent. The men outside started pulling on the van's door handles. His fear grew as he realized they were trying to break in. The van felt like his only safety from the danger outside. He gathered his courage and asked, "Who's there?" His voice was shaky and soft. Suddenly, a loud gunshot echoed through the night. He froze, shaking in fear, gripping the blanket tightly. The sound of the gunshot was so loud it felt like it shook the van. The men outside stopped trying to open the doors, but he could still hear their voices. He stayed silent, too scared to make a noise. Minutes felt like hours as he waited, praying for them to leave. Finally, the voices faded, and silence returned. When he was sure they were gone, he started his van with shaking hands. The sound of the engine gave him a little relief. Without looking back, he drove far away. His heart raced as he drove through the dark roads, but he felt lucky to escape. He stopped at a gas station with bright lights to catch his breath. Parking near other cars made him feel safer. Sitting in the driver's seat, he checked the locks and windows. After calming down, he recorded a video. The next day, he thought about his scary experience. He realized how risky solo camping can be in isolated places. He promised himself to pick safer spots next time. His viewers were glad he was safe and learned from his warning. Always pick safe places to camp and never take big risks when you're alone. Safety should always come first in any adventure. For 2 years, the YouTuber By the Curb had been living in his van, traveling and enjoying life. He always found safe spots to park, feeling secure and safe. But one night, his peaceful routine turned into a nightmare. After a long day, he parked his van in a quiet spot near some homes. It seemed safe enough, though a bit isolated. After dinner, he settled in for the night, ready to sleep. Little did he know, something terrifying was about to happen. His heart was calm, but the silence outside felt heavier than usual. As he lay in bed, a sudden noise woke him up. It was faint at first, like footsteps on the ground near a van. He brushed it off, thinking it was just the wind or an animal. But the sounds grew louder, closer, and more unsettling. His heart began to race as he heard voices outside. Sitting up, he looked through the curtains, but it was too dark to see clearly. He felt a deep fear take over him, unsure of what was going on. Every little noise outside made him shiver. Suddenly, a face appeared at his window. It was a man with angry, wide eyes staring right at him. The sight made his heart nearly stop. The man started yelling, "Open the door! Get out of the van now!" The YouTuber froze, fear and confusion rushing through him. Who were these people? What did they want? He stayed silent and still, hoping they would leave. But the man kept shouting, his voice angry and threatening. The situation got worse when the man started hitting the van. The loud bangs made him feel even more scared and trapped. Then he heard another voice and realized there were more people outside. They shouted angry threats, and the van shook with every hit. He felt his panic grow. Should he drive away? Call the police? Stay quiet? Every second felt endless. He decided to stay silent, hoping they would leave. Inside, he was shaking, holding his blanket tightly as if it could keep him safe. The noises outside continued, yelling, banging, and footsteps going around the van. His camera, which had been recording earlier, was his only comfort. At least he had proof of what was happening. He prayed quietly for them to leave. Finally, the voices and banging stopped. He waited a little longer just to be sure. Then, he carefully looked out the window and saw that the street was empty. A huge wave of relief came over him, but his hands were still shaking. He started the van and quickly drove to a safer, busier area. He was still scared, but thankful to be safe. The next day, he watched the camera footage and shared his story online. His voice shook as he talked about the scary night. "I've been living in my van for 2 years, and nothing like this has ever happened," he said. His viewers were shocked and worried for him. Many thanked him for warning others who live in vans. The experience was the scariest moment of his life. "I've never felt so close to danger," he said, but he wouldn't let it stop him from exploring. He promised to be more careful and choose safer places to park in the future. Always park in safe places. Keep your doors locked and be ready for anything. Your safety should always come first, no matter how adventurous life gets. And that's all for today's spooky stories. Which one gave you goosebumps? Was it the haunted house, the eerie forest, or the ghostly encounter? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling adventures. Hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when we upload. Until next time, stay curious but stay safe, because some mysteries, like the ones we've shared today, are better left unsolved. See you in the next video.